A lot of people was hitting me up in my inbox asking me about what happened. So it was too many people to respond to one by one. So, I had to make a video about it. Plus, I'm gonna give y'all my insight about it and basically my feedback. But long story short, the police keep pulling me over non-stop, month after month, week after week. And the last time they pulled me over was for an improper turn. So I know for sure I made a left at Popeyes, turning on 5th Street. Long story short, I go to the stoplight, bumper to the marker. The officer in the other lane didn't even come bumper to the marker. He literally came his bumper into the back of my bumper, his front bumper into the back of my back bumper. So he wound up looking in, you could feel somebody watch you. He wound up seeing what I look like from from my window, and wound up getting behind me. But he wound up doing that the whole time it was a red light. So I already knew it was suspicious. I already knew what was about to go on. I mean, it's the same procedure. It's what they do all the time. So I wound up, going when the light turned green. He wound up getting behind me, following me for about 3 miles, wound up pulling me over on Madison by Hetrix. So, I wound up taking that to court. I wound up doing a bench trial. And a lot of people don't know what bench trial is. It's basically like you don't need a juror. It's just basically you, the person that you against, which in my case is the cop, the prosecutor, and the judge. So let me tell you how it begins. It begins with us, sitting down. I'm sitting down in the seat by myself, and the officer literally sitting shoulder to shoulder with the prosecutor. So I already know what's going on. I already know what's about to go on. So the prosecutor started questioning the cop, asking him about the traffic. Like, okay, can you describe the traffic? He said, yeah, it was moderate traffic. So, he started going on, saying that I made a left and it was an improper turn. So then, the judge come to me, asked me, do I got anything to say? Do I got anything to question as far as from the officer perspective? So I instantly attacked what the officer said, which what he said it was moderate traffic. It was 2 a.m. at nighttime, man. We was the only two on the road, so it wasn't no moderate traffic. It was empty traffic. It was clear traffic. So then I began asking him, if I made a left, by Popeyes on 5th Street, why did you wait so long to actually, pull me over? And then when you pulled me over, why was your response for your probable cause was basically you wanted to pull me over just because you said you wanted to, and then you described later that it was an improper turn. So one, I told him, like, look, it was very unprofessional. I asked you why you pulled me over. You said because you wanted to. And then, I asked you what was the probable cause. You told me that it was basically for the improper turn. So my whole thing was when I asked him, I said, okay, so when I made the turn, you got behind me. And you wasn't behind me, like literally you was behind from another lane. And I said, why did you stop at my bumper? I mean, did you want to look and see what my appearance was? And then, the judge and the prosecutor is objection. So, prosecutor's like, he can't ask them type of questions. And I'm like, okay, well, so why did you didn't, if I made an improper turn, why didn't you pull me over instantly? Why did you wait 2 miles and, 5 streets up ahead? And he began to say, well, I had to see who you was. I had to run your tags, to see who you was. And, you could have been a killer. You could have been anybody. I said, I understand that, and then that's, I basically said that's kind of like illegal profiling. And then the judge said, well, Supreme Court said that they're allowed to do that. I said, yeah, they're allowed to do that. Getting behind me, running my tags to see who I am, yeah. But literally in the next lane, looking from my point of view, you was right there and basically on the side of me, parked, right there on the side of me, looking inside my car, and not even at the marker, you was checking out my appearance. So we go back and forth, I'm interrogating him, asking him, questions, and he's stuttering, and basically I'm looking him in his eye. I'm right here looking at him, like asking him questions, like, yeah, so why you do this and why you do that? And he like, so instantly. By that time, the judge, I think he gets sick of it. So he look at the prosecutor and he look at the cop and said, I think this is a petty charge. So the prosecutor response was, yeah, Your Honor, it is a petty charge, but we didn't have this officer sit here for like an hour, almost 2 hours, and the state had to pay for it. And then he said again, Your Honor, we got Mr. Jackson over here. We can't have Mr. Jackson bullying our officer. So then, as the judge looked at him and said, correct. Hit the mallet and said, guilty. I said, it took a minute for it to register what happened. I said, hold on, what? I said, okay, so you said I'm guilty, right? I said, okay, you didn't say I was guilty due to me making an improper turn. You didn't say I was not guilty due to him illegal profiling me. The only reason why you saying I'm guilty because this prosecutor said that he's sitting down and, you know, he getting paid right now from the state. The state is paying him basically to wait, you know, for court. And you said that I was bullying him. I was bullying him how? Because I know my laws of the land. I said, Your Honor, you got to think about this. Like, I go to school, I get A's and B's. Like, I'm going to school for, to be a lawyer. And I said, at the end of the day, I'm a member of the Kentucky Paralegal Association. I know my laws of the land. And then I looked at the officer. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna take this on the chin. If it take for me paying this $150 fine and getting a couple points on my license, that's fine. But you need to communicate to your counterparts and people that you work with to stop harassing me. I said, at the end of the day, I am the head supervisor for a $1 billion technology company. I got a good grades. I got A's and B's, and there's no reason for you to illegal profile me. So by that time, the judge, he literally told me to get out of the courtroom. I was talking too loud. So that's what happened, and that's why for real, at first when it happened, it took a minute to register. I'm thinking like, dang, I'm really outnumbered out here, when it comes to even just knowing my laws or even just being a regular citizen and getting my constitutional rights broke. You feel me? Like the 14th Amendment, I got an equal protection clause. Like we got the equal protection clause to protect any of us, no matter your race, color, religion, But at the end of the day, like I'm out here by myself, but I got to go to the drawing board, you feel me, on this. Like I literally got to start teaching more people. I literally got to start, just bringing it out there to the front, bringing it to more people's perspective. Like, there's a lot of people, felons, and a lot of people got records, and they let that stop them. But at the end of the day, why would you let them stop you? Because you can be anything you want to, and we need more people like that's tuned in to the laws of the land, more people that can be members of the boards or, being able to run for the state and Senate. But I just feel like it's just something that's holding everybody back because the highest position or the highest type of authority, which is the president, and it literally says that, like, even they already made it clear in 2025 that even if you got a felony, like, that do not disqualify you from, being able to run. So we're stopping people. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to ever give up. And that's what people fail to realize. In 2009, like, my uncle was murdered. You feel me? He was murdered inside of King County Jail. And they did so much as far as covering up the evidence. They even sold the jail to, to a property manager and made that into an apartment complex, paid millions to open up a new jail. And what really got me really tuned into the law is Blake Maislin. Like, we trusted in you. We had a lawsuit against the state. We had a lawsuit against the jail for doing everything that they did wrong. My uncle went to jail for trespassing and ended up on the 9th floor with nothing but killers and murders and violent people, and he didn't have no right to. So at the end of the day, Blake Maislin, when you first talked to us, when we first came to you, you gave us the benefit of the doubt. Oh, yeah, I done worked with King County before. We did a lot of cases together and, this and that. And I promise you, I'm going to get you what y'all need. I'm going to give you the justice that you need. Like, I work with them all the time and this and that. And now I'm studying the law, realizing that you was the one that played this from the start. Because at the end of the day, even with you saying that you worked a lot of cases with King County and you did a couple of cases with them before, that was conflict of interest. And I always wonder what could be the bad side of conflict of interest. And what you did, you literally showed us what conflict of interest means. When it was time to go to trial, you went to court without telling us. You didn't let us know. And then another thing that I noticed, like, it was kind of like a month before trial, you made a trip out of the country. Like, you made a trip straight out the country. Like, and I know for sure you went somewhere with an offshore account. Like, and at the time, they was selling an old jail. They was buying a new jail. I know for sure, like, it was so much money being in and out. I'm pretty sure they probably threw you some. But at the end of the day, what made it suspicious when you came back? You came back. And you moved to Francis Street, like my granny named Francis. You moved to a street called Francis. You made us come and get everything out of there. You made us come get everything about our case. And you was inside a big old office. Like, man, you had 75-inch flat screens, and that was before, back then, when it was like 3 bands or probably a couple thousand just for a flat screen. When they first got up, you had a whole office, all rooms filled with nothing but flat screens. You had new paintings. Like, man, you got a chunk of money, like, out of all this stuff that you got going on right now, like all the attorneys you got by your side, you never had none of that. You was never really successful. You never really was having all that money until after you took on my granny case. Like, so at the end of the day, man, I'm a product of my environment. I won't ever stop, man. If y'all ever want to know why I don't stop and why I keep going and why I don't take nothing light, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Blake Blazing, Kenton County Justice Center, everything. Y'all made me who I am, and I won't stop. And that's my passion. And this is only the start. Like, y'all got me going back to the drawing board. As many charges y'all try to charge me with, how many felonies y'all try to charge me with, how many times I went to trap. I'm still walking around with no felony. But I ain't gonna lie, that loss that I took on election day, that loss I took over a traffic ticket, some people might call it petty for going to trial over there, but like I said, I go to school, so that was hands-on training. That was a day of class with me, and I learned something, and I learned a lot. Like, I ain't ever in my life heard a prosecutor say that a person was bullying an officer. Why would you tell me I'm bullying an officer? Because I know the laws of my land, and I was talking to him, looking him eye to eye, soul to soul, and he was stuttering. When y'all see somebody that know what y'all know and tuned in, that was your response, that was your run to, that we was basically on the time that, like, you basically said that, literally out your words, that all this time that he was sitting down, the state was paying him. Like, you was worried about more of the state spending money than worried about justice. And then you try to say that I was bullying the officer because he was stuttering. He couldn't keep hold to the story. I was asking him 5 different questions, but but it was all consistent. It's training to the same thing. It was all containing to the same thing. I asked you 5 different questions that all led to one answer. And just like y'all always like interrogating people, I interrogated him. You know, at the end of the day, I know any type of law enforcement, any type of government, mostly of y'all classes are psychology classes. I took them same classes, all A's. Sociology, I took it, all A's. Criminology, I took it, all A's. Psychology, took it, all A's. I'm not gonna stop. Like, and you might not think y'all got justice for my uncle, because at the end of the day, even the person that murdered my uncle, like, he didn't even get charged for the murder. Y'all used literally my uncle murder to use as a plea bargain to make him cop out to another charge. He murdered somebody on January the 31st, which was my granny's birthday. He murdered somebody on January 31st, and then he murdered my uncle on March the 29th. And at the end of the day, when he went to trial, y'all basically told him, if he admits to that murder that he killed my uncle, then y'all just charge him with that and won't give him the death penalty for murdering both people. Y'all just charge him with one murder. Man, that ain't no justice. And just to this day, nobody probably will never believe the corruption. But you already know what Kentucky capable of. You already know what the Breonna Taylor about what happened, man. You know, so I ain't gonna say too much on that, but just know that I ain't going. Like, you can look at my eyes. I'm not fearing. I don't fear. I'm here until I ain't. And I can't, and I am. Even when you think I ain't. Energy flows. I'm a product of my environment, and I am my ancestors. And until everybody wake up, just know, I am my ancestors. My ancestors is us.